What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Elephant in the Room. This is episode 3. We've already got some people in the chat. As you can tell, right now it's just me. I'm trying to figure out what's happening with my guests, but have no fear. We have a great plan, folks. Whether it's just me or whether the other folks will be with me or whether we'll have some surprise guests from Aiven or elsewhere in the world, we are going to be taking a focus on some of my friends that I've met on the grand stage. For those that don't know, as it says on the screen, my name is Jay Miller, and I am a staff product advocate for databases over at Aiven. And a big part of that job, and something that I've been doing for the last several years, is speaking at conferences. And time and time again, I get several requests, often from the international space. And that is for people to get help with their conference talks. Sometimes that is like, just review my talk before I send it. In fact, I would say that I have a one of those other friends that I often see on the grand stage is saying, "Hey, where are the rest of my friends at?" Yes, I am trying to figure that out as well. If you know, let me know, and we'll make it happen. Or we can always pivot. And if you want a vibe code with me for the next 2 hours, then you're more than welcome to. But that's what we're going to be doing. We are going to be building a CFP review app. Now, I don't mean like CFP conference proposals in terms of I have this conference coming up and I want people to submit to it so I can review it. There are plenty of great products that exist already for that: sessionized, pre-talks, open call, all of those things. Instead, our plan was to develop something that looks a little like, let me change what I'm presenting on my screen. Something that looks a little like this, which is a CFP review, the green room for the world stage. This is a place where you can store your conference proposals so that you can, easily publish them when a new conference comes up, as well as get support from speakers, professional conference presenters, so that they can help you review and polish your proposal. This is a thing that we see a lot in the Python community, where conferences will say, "Hey, for an hour, you can come into this Zoom call and you can share your proposal with us and we'll give you feedback. We can't tell you, whether or not it'll get accepted or not, but we can at least give you some feedback to help you like make your talk slightly, maybe not even make your talk better, but make your proposal a little bit more detailed." I recently was on the CFP review board for an upcoming event. Shout out to PG Data, happening in early June in Chicago. And one of the things that we saw was, one, everyone's using AI to help make their proposals. But even when that's fine, there's so much refining that could have been done that would have made their talks more appealing. And often when we're trying to choose between talk A and talk B, if they sound kind of similar, what we really lean on is what information you've given us. And that is often a deal breaker for some really good potential talks. It's just, we just don't have enough information to feel confident about putting it on the stage. So this is hopefully meant to fix that. I am going to be using one of my favorite tools that I've been using a lot recently, Open Code. But before we do that, I do want to share how we set this up. I am a big fan of the Mirai system. Hold on, okay. One of our guests will be joining very, very shortly. Apparently there was some things at work that popped up. So let's jump in. I am a big fan of plan then implement when it comes to anything AI. I want to give it as many rails as possible so that when it does fly off of them, we're not too far away. So what I did was I basically told OpenCode, stay in plan mode. Even if it says build, you're in plan mode. You're not allowed to write any code whatsoever. And we are going to document our idea. So this is, again, a speaker portfolio and mentorship platform. The why it exists, I've already explained. But based on this Mirai analysis, what we basically decided that we want to do is to create a proposal management system. We want to add some privacy controls that allow people to view and request data. We want to create a mentorship system so that people can, again, like look at those requested things. It could be based on tags. It could be based on some other things. And then ultimately provide feedback in like a comment system. With that, there are a lot of things to think about. And the reason why this is great for an elephant in the room live stream is that when we're building out our data models, we're often thinking about like, okay, if I'm just writing in Django, I'm just going to do this, and I'm done. Like 3 models, and then we're done. I can show you how projects in production tend to bloom and become a little bit more involved directly within the Aiven console. So let's I need to not log into that. I need to open a new browser maybe, and then log into my other Aiven account to show you this interesting project here. And you can't see it right now because that would be bad. So let's do that. I've got to do some logging in. Please forgive me. Got to tap a YubiKey. And then let's go find my projects. I need to be able to search for my projects. There we go. Now I can share. All right, so if I go into my projects, I have another project here called Board Game Leaderboard. And this is a Django site. It is basically just an analytics platform. But if I go into my AI editor here, I can look at this schema, and it's I can't zoom in enough to show you. Here, this is the thing, is like when we're operating within local versus not local, or when we're operating in like demo versus something more production worthy, what we think we're doing is this, and what we end up with is this, which is a lot. Some things are on their own, like the Django stuff, the migrations and things like that. Some of our auth stuff in itself is just set up there. And then like the actual data that's being used for the app itself is down here, like this small little group. So there's so much to consider and so much to think about as we're developing this, that it felt like it was only reasonable to like come on this stream and start building stuff out, and hopefully build it out with a few of my friends who will be joining shortly. So let's talk about this a little bit. Let's talk about what our intended data model is supposed to be. It starts all with proposals. This is like the heart blood of what we're doing. Technically, it should probably start with the user, who's just username, email, what groups they're in. That group is actually, that's an enum. It's not a character. But that group tells them what they should have visibility of. And I'm wondering if there are any like solid Django folks or Postgres folks in here that could maybe offer some guidance on that, because in my mind I was always like, yeah, just do a filter, but that doesn't seem secure. That does not seem secure at all. What would feel better is a little bit of like row level security of, you know, if you're in this security group, then you have access. If you're in this other security group, you have access. That would involve the creation of roles. And that is something that I've not done a lot of. So I think that is kind of an interesting concept. So maybe what we're doing right now, not the best. Maybe there's some like role-based access control that we can look at within our system and figure out how we would grant access to those things. From there, you have users who are reviewers can make reviews. Then you have different tags. So someone can say, oh, this proposal should have this tag, Python, Django, whatever. And then there's kind of this bonus section that we want to include where there's a type of user called an organizer. And this would be someone who is hosting a conference that does have the ability to say, like, again, I can't promise you your talk will get approved, but this talk would be great for the event that I'm hosting. And then that would, obviously then you have it and you can just go to the site, copy, paste, and then you're done. That's the hope. We have, oh, you are correct, Tim. I apologize for that. Let me make this, a little bit shorter. So the screen is a little bit larger. Is that better or it's like better or worse? Are we going up or down in terms of what we're viewing? I'm hoping that's a little bit better. So we've talked about kind of the design. The other thing that I did in my planning, and I kind of learned this from our first guest, Jeff Triplett, who was very much like, his agents have a lot of leeway. He gives a lot of control to them, a lot of trust. What I like to do is I like to give them a couple of documents to just keep them a little grounded. And for that, I gave them a system design guide. This is the system design. Like, hey, I want user flows to look like this. This is how it should happen. User flows like this. Again, organizers, this goes. Some of the big rules. Again, some of the schema. This is all planning, because it's a lot easier to change your plan than it is to change like code once it's been built, and then you got to do migrations and you got to like deviate from the migrations and things like that. And then the last thing that I did, and this is probably the thing that a lot of AI folks groan at incessantly, front end design. I wanted to give it a front end design guide, which was like, hey, use these colors. Notice how pink and purple are not in here. I'm so tired of Tailwind based designs. I specifically told it no Tailwind CSS, but I did allow for my two of my favorites, HTMX and Alpine JS. I do want some modern styling. I do want CSS Grid and Flexbox. I do want to be a mobile first responsive design. I want it to be something that, like, shout out to the folks at Syntax, that they would look at and say, hey, this would be great. This would be great to have. Do not trust the agents. Didn't you see the Matrix? There's a lot of thoughts about that. That I probably won't go into here, but a lot of this is just, hey, we're gonna use this, and as we're writing the code, I updated my agents file to say, like, you should check with let's see, yeah, build mode. Adhere to the current mode, of course. Never switch modes autonomously. I thought there was an update here that said you should read all of, focus, architecture, design, workflow verification, allowed actions, prohibited actions in certain modes, and then things you could do. So it's not the most like strict, but it is there. I've been told that our first guest will be joining us in about 15 minutes, hopefully. So we'll go from there. But until then, I'm glad I've got a couple of Django, like I would call them Django experts in the room, because I'm wanting to play around with a little bit. And again, like in terms of code, we are definitely going to be letting AI do the coding while I kind of operate as a live streamer / project manager. Let's go to our terminal. We're going to go, that's not the right window. This is the right window. There we go. And I'm going to be, I need to hide that little thing there because I can't see. I'm going to go here and we're going to exit our runner for now. And I stumbled on a new tool from Armin Ronacher called GitHub Issue Sync, and basically it just allows you to pull things down like locally, all your GitHub issues. I use another tool called Beads, kind of does similar things, but we're just gonna start by looking at our issues. I actually created some issues to begin with. Can I do label? Let's just do this issue list. Can I not do gh issue list? There we go. Looks like all of our before stream stuff got finalized, and then we have some during stream stuff. Oh, I should send y'all a link to this GitHub repo. Let me grab that real quick. Wait, let's do this. It's gonna open up the link, and then I will put that in the chat so that we can jump in. Looks like we are going to have one of our guests join very quickly, very soon. I always tell people, like, if you wanted to get into live streaming, like, you got to be a project manager first and foremost, because it just takes, you're like doing 5 things at one time. So there is a link to the GitHub repo in the chat showing up. There you go. And if y'all want to take a look at it, y'all want to play around with it, if y'all want to put in PRs, like, if you're going to put in PRs, best of luck to you. But I want to look at kind of what we've got right now and just kind of go off of there. The core UI components are definitely one that I can let like AI handle. And then like I want to just kind of manage it from time to time. So I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to say, what is that? Work on issue 20 in a Git work tree. And we're using Git work trees for this because we have like 3 developers actively developing. I don't want to mess up anything that they're working on. It's going to be much easier if we just have a couple of different work trees all running and doing things at the same time. So I'm going to let that go. It's just going to build some modern UI components, because right now, if you went to our local template, I need to stack that. There we go. If you go to our local template and we do uv run manage server, and then we come to our green room, let me switch. Hello, welcome.
Hi, Jay. Oh my God.
You're good. You caught me right as I was breaking down the, hey, take a look at like the front page. It's beautiful, right? But also the second you go to do anything with it, like log in, there's nothing there that's not like default. So I wanted us to be working on this at the same time. There are about 20 issues in there, so I feel like just grabbing an issue right now, I'm working on issue 20. Just grabbing an issue and working on it and then kind of just talking about what we're doing is great. But I also wanted to use this as a time to maybe like talk to you a little bit about your community, about some of the stuff that you're doing. Shout out to Kojo who yells, "There's my cousin" in the chat. Like,
Hi, cousin.
that's my friend. Abigail, do us a favor first. Introduce yourself, and if you don't talk about all your accolades, I will do it for you. So just know you got fans in the chat, so we want to hear all the amazing things that you're doing.
Oh my God. Yeah, thanks for having me here, Jay. Honored to be here and to be able to do this with you. And yeah, Hi everyone, my name is Abigail Dogbe. I'm from Ghana, but I currently live in Cincinnati, Ohio, because I'm pursuing grad school at the University of Cincinnati, um, where I'm deep in the waters, conducting research in open source and project management. And I'm also a part of the Python software community. I love contributing in multiple ways. By the way, the Python software community is the best. So if you're not a part of us, you should definitely join us.
Python community is best community.
Yeah.
What have you been doing? I know you also run. I can never remember what it's called. It's like opensourceconferences.com or something like that.
Yeah, the open source events happening worldwide. So I have a small nonprofit.
A small one, just a
Well,
small one.
yes. Called Everything Open Source. And typically, what we do is share resources and help newbies find their foot in open source, helping them learn about the different ways that they can contribute to open source. And one of the projects that we have is it's a GitHub repo that shows open source conferences or events happening worldwide. Yeah. So that's the first one. Yeah.
Yeah,
This is my most successful project currently. Yeah,
just
it's
get you a star in there too.
thank you. And yeah, so if you're looking for open source conferences to attend, please definitely check out this repo. If you're an organizer as well and you have an open source conference that's coming up, just try and add your conference to the list and submit a PR. My team and I will be happy to look into it. Jay, I see you.
This is what we do. We don't shamelessly just drop a little issue in there like, hey, I think you also do was it like books? I forgot
Yeah,
what I forgot the books
yeah. The books for
project.
techies. Yeah. So in this same organization, another aspect, and obviously in the light of sharing more resources and all, I get books from here in the US. So this is what we call leveraging my network, right? Um,
Exactly.
Interacting with people from here, getting some books shipped back home. So far, we've had books gone to Nigeria, South Africa, and Ghana. And we have some more books that we are putting together to send or ship to Ghana. So contact me if you're interested in helping us in any way. If you want to send me some books that would be helpful to techies, to folks who are getting started in tech, most definitely just reach out and we can plan something. Yeah.
And the interesting part of that, Kojo, keep me honest. Like one of the things that we've talked about so many times is as a community of like distributing resources across different locations. It's it's not the easiest thing to do to get
Yeah.
like a physical item across several oceans or an ocean in general through tariffs, through so many things. So often the best way to do it is while you're here, let me grab a book, let me go buy a book real quick. Let me go like get my cousin that book that I need. That is honestly one of the cheapest ways to manage it. Luckily there are it varies, country by country, but that has been kind of a thing. We've been decluttering our house, so I actually donated so many non-Python related books to the library. If I had Python related books, I would have just emailed you. But it's definitely one of those things where yes, moving atoms, let's like I just said, moving atoms are expensive if you're going through space. It looks like Abigail's internet cut out. I was warned that the internet would cut out. Let's see how our project is doing. Oh, I didn't tell it to start yet. That's on me. That's my fault. Uh let's instead fix that and tell it to, hey, go ahead and do that work. And this is one of those pain points of doing anything just CLI related. Nope. I can't figure out which pane I'm supposed to be in. Pane. There we go. There we go. Confirm. Yes, you can. Yes, this is why you're in a work tree, is so that you can go and do all the things in that work tree without messing up other things. Ooh, that's a lot of stuff. All right. So while that's happening, Abigail will likely be back. We're running through some public infrastructure issues. One of the things that Abigail didn't mention that I want to touch on is that I've seen, you know, Abigail speak at so many events, and the people that are coming onto the stage and talking with us about this stuff, we all get asked for the same help that I mentioned. Um, that's a thing. Like, it is a very real thing for like mentorship. Like, there's a lot of requests for mentorship, especially in places where it is logistically difficult to be able to like sit down and spend time with someone, or you're dealing with things like large time zone differences. That's another one that I often see, where someone maybe on the other side of the globe is like, hey, I would love it if, I could get 30 minutes of your time to review this proposal. And it's like, all right, well, your time available is my time asleep, or my time available is your time asleep. An asynchronous world exists. It would be great for us to utilize it a little bit more. While this is doing so, this is always fun to see when it starts doing design things. I'm not a designer. I don't pretend to be a designer. I love that it's just building out CSS. I mean, we told it to build UI components, so UI components are what it's doing. I am kind of waiting for our guest to return so I can keep the conversation going. What are some of your favorite talks? Let's ask the chat. What are some of your favorite conference talks? And what made them so like iconic in your book? I always love that question. I learned Python from a lot of conference talks. One that I see uh, a lot of stuff from like Anthony Shaw, uh, Kelsey Hightower's like Tetris talk that he did with Kubernetes was a great one. Um, I'm trying to think of another one that just really stood out. Margaret Mitchell, 2023 PyCon. Shout out to Margaret Mitchell. I think another one that really just like sticks out in my mind is, I'm trying to remember what event it was. I don't remember the speaker. Oh, actually, no, sorry. Before I do that one, because there were two. There was one at Pi Cascades 2018. I believe there was like Haley Denbraver, who gave an amazing talk about doing a post, doing like an after action report on an incident. That one was fun, mostly because it was done in the theme of Jurassic Park, and Haley cosplayed as a Jurassic Park employee for the talk. So I think that there was just that integration that was absolutely just wonderful. Let's see. Sarah Boyce's recent DjangoCon Europe keynote explaining how to do code reviews. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yes, Pi Cascades was the first one. I was there. I think that was how we met, Kojo. And probably didn't actually meet, probably just like I saw you on stage giving a talk about like spreadsheets or something. And that was a good conference. Pi Cascades coming back. Insert complicated title here by Virgil Abloh. I have not heard that one. I want to what was so high, like amazing about that talk. Y'all are just feeding my my library of talks to review later. We had chatted online. Okay, awesome. Okay, it looks like our developer here is done. It set up a Git work tree. It did all the stuff. Full design, system, colors, typography, variables from the front end design. The components were created. A proposal card, lift shadow. Okay, this is awesome. Yep. So Kojo, I am cross streaming. So I'm streaming both on my channel and the Aiven IO YouTube channel. The YouTube channel was the one that I promoted on social, the Aiven one, because I'm at work. This is work. I love doing good work things. But you're probably like on my local my local one, or vice versa. I don't know which one's doing more right now, but trying to see what is going on, or if folks are heading back. Doesn't Not sure. We'll just keep moving. Okay. So this is doing a PR. While this is doing a PR, I'm going to shrink this and let's build these models. Let's build 17, 18, and 19. Oh, I guess 16 through 19 in terms of the models here. Mostly because I want us to actually have something that's usable. I'm gonna actually set up a new one here that's just like open code. Oh. Thanks, and we'll say thank you by saying new, and we'll say actually the same thing, but we'll say issues, and I'm going to do all of these at the same time just because they are very much related, and I would rather review them all at once. While that's happening, though, I actually need to define my environment variable. So now I have given up on like the chances that I will not leak an environment variable here. So if it happens, if you see it, just know that that's not the like I will have changed the password on this. Hopefully, I'm gonna try, but I've given up on myself of just being able to do this without doing things. So let's come back here really quick. I'm gonna open up a .env file, and we're going to add our connection string. It's quite easy, in fact. Just db connection string equals and we should now actually be talking to our Postgres database. That's important for when we actually make our models here. So I want to show y'all how easy this is, only because they pay me to do it. They pay me to show you how easy it is, so I should show you, right? Let's share our console. When you create your new Postgres database, which like the way that you create your new Postgres database, create service, Postgres, pick a tier, pick a region, give it a name. Once it's done, it's right here. Just click copy. You're done. If you need it itemized, click that. You're done. That's it. It could only be so simple. It's running 17.7. We could upgrade it to 18. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. Upgrade to 18. It's going to check. It's going to think about it. It's going to think about it for a second, apparently. All right, yeah, upgrade with 18. Yeah, do it. It's going to rebuild. I said it's going to rebuild. Okay, I'm not sure what it's doing now. Hopefully that is upgraded or started the upgrade process. But we're like there. Um, it's that quick. Like create your project. Once your project's done, come here, copy the connection string. You're off to the races. Your database is connected. I added that to my .env file. There should be some .env stuff that allows our Django instance to be talking to our database. I have not done any of the create super user stuff because I was waiting to include all of that. But what we can do is we can check our settings.py, not seedings. Was it CFP review settings? There we go. Again, don't use secret keys in production like this. You move it over to a file and then it's there. So it's the insecure thing that's auto-generated by Django. Don't run debug in production. That's true. And then from there, you know what? We are going to make this a little bit bigger while that's working over there. And then we add all of our middleware. As you can see, I'm using Django all auth. I like all auth. All auth is great. And then we should have a database thing. Yep. Use this PG connection string. If that doesn't exist, fall back to SQLite. This will probably change to fall back to some generic Postgres thing that we would have in like Docker, and work from there. From there, this just works. This is one of the reasons why I love Django. I didn't have to write any of this. I did modify that a little bit, but it gave me all the things it needed. It wants UTC. I kind of want to have American New York, but it's not really that big of a deal because we're not doing anything that's time bound or time sensitive. And then from there, hey, our static files, we added that. Our base directory, we added that. Login, redirect, email backend. We actually don't have an email backend. I'm a little concerned about that with the Django all auth stuff because that's all settings required for all auth. I'm hoping that we can test that, but we may not even, you can't see this. You're still looking at the Aiven console. That's my fault. Streaming is hard. This is also why I'm not trying to actively write code at the same time, because that would just be too much for my sensitivities to be able to manage and handle. Where is my browser? There we are. Or my editor. Here we go. Speed run through this. All this stuff designed by Django. I don't have to write any of it. The only thing I had to do here was change this environment variable to use DJ database URL to get my connection string here. If you're using a connection pool instead of a connection string, you can totally do that too. You just change it to your pool connection string. And then your static files, set that up quickly. And then all of the backend stuff is there. That's why I like Django. It does so you don't have to. As when we were planning this project, it was very much a let's do this so that we don't have to get it going. Is this says it's done building, so I think we can kind of go over here and see what's going on. It created the proposal apps with the new Django app proposals encapsulate domain logic. Simple model, simple model, simple model, simple model, simple model. All models registered in Django admin. We haven't done our create super user yet, so we will do that in just a second. I want to see what this looks like. So let's look at our, I see views, I don't see models. What's up with that? Am I the Also, right? I'm not the only one. Like, there are views here. There are no models here. I see templates, CFP review test.py. You said you did that, right? You said you did that, right? You created the proposals app. I know why. It's in a get work tree. The get work tree is, yeah, not in there. So let's do the thing. I'm guessing it's going to be one back, cd feet. Oh yeah, CFP review models. There we go. Nothing to commit. Work tree is clean. Of course. Oh, did it already commit the work tree? You already did the thing. Why did you? Okay, well, in that case, let's just go into our proposals and let's look at our models and let's see what we have here. We have tag, pretty easy, just a name. I always wonder about this. Having like things like a primary key. That feels like, oh, speaking of a primary key, we have a primary developer here. Andres, how are you, my friend?
I am fine. Battling with my camera. That's why I'm using the computer built-in camera. For some reason, the it doesn't want to take my external camera. So, but I'm here.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We are. I have barely just. I'm reviewing what AI has done in terms of views currently. Like this is where we are. Before we get too deep into this, let's Abigail popped in for a little bit and then had some internet issues. She said she has some ongoing internet issues at the campus. Go ahead and give an introduction of yourself. How do people know of you? How do people know of what you've been doing in the community? Yeah, let's throw that introduction in there.
Right, and thank you. Well, thank you, Jay, for the invitation. Thank you for putting this together. I really like this project that we're gonna be building today. So Andres Pineda, I'm a developer, but aside from development, I like collaborating with communities. So I am being collaborating with different communities across my career. I say this proudly. I owe my career to the communities. Python Dominicana back in 2012. That's when I started joining my first community ever, and it changed my life. Since then, I've been in different things like PyCon. I've been going to PyCon since 2014, 2014. Every year I just try to make new friends. Every year I try to connect with other communities across the bigger PyCon communities across the globe. That's how I met you. That's how
Yeah.
we got in Tulsa. It was in a Python event, and like you, I met other very interesting Python developers. Right now, I am hosting the Python Santo Domingo. For it's been a year and something that we started this project because Python Dominicana after COVID kind of died, as many other communities. So we took me and another few folks. We took over. Basically, we're trying to bring the love of Python to Santo Domingo, and making the community growing. Being interesting, seeing how a project that started as me and two folks connecting, getting online from time to time. Right now, we have more than 700 people in the meetup, and usually for every presentation, we have around 30 or 40 people that always show up, and there's always new people coming in. We did the Pi Day for the first time last year in Santo Domingo, and that was amazing as well, seeing how the community is getting together to learn. So yeah, that's me. I am every time if you want to meet me in person, go to PyCon. I always go to PyCon. I always go to PyCascade, or I try to go PyCascade. I'm part of the organization. That's where there. Um, And for some point as well, I was part of the organization for PyCon Latam. So yeah, everywhere there's a Pi, I'll be there. uh, I'll be there because I love the Python community. I love the synergy that you feel in the people that collaborates in the Python communities.
Let's talk about some of the like mentorship side of things. Have you had lots of requests for people to like review proposals or maybe learn how to submit it? Like, how do I know if my talk is good? And I always tell people, I'm like, look, I have never had a talk accepted to PyCon US, but I have helped like 5 people get their talks accepted. So I'm probably not the person to ask.
It's the same. I mean, getting a talk in PyCon US is been my goal for the last couple of years. I present, in PyCon US there are 2 tracks. There's tracking English, tracking Spanish, PyCon Charles. So if you speak Spanish and you want to submit a talk, you might have probably better ways to get into Python. You don't have to go to the English track immediately. But I have never been accepted a presentation in PyCon US. Not that I feel bad, there's always space. It's just that there's so many talented people submitting presentations. So it's not what I tell to folks when your presentation is not accepted. Not every time is not because you did it wrong. It's because other folks did it better, and that's okay. Your presentation might be a good fit. Might not be a good fit now, but it could be in the future, depending on many things. So yeah, I get a lot of requests asking me to validate if their presentation is good, how they can do a presentation. And being as an organizer, we get that frequently. That's why, as I mentioned at the beginning, this project is nice because it will enable that feedback to be more not one-on-one, but also allowing other folks to jump in and provide with information that might be relevant for basically you succeed as a call for paper presenter. There are also things like sometimes you submit a presentation for PyCon US, but it's not accepted. But let's say EuroPython is looking for a speaker, and this will be a nice place to go and find new speakers or speakers that have been participating in a very specific present. Because, for example, I've never been in EuroPython. And it'd be nice, for example, if one of the organizers see, oh, this is a nice presentation that we as organizers would like to see in EuroPython 2026. So I love the idea, and let's see how we can build.
I love it too. Funny enough, I don't think you've seen kind of the base design. We kind of walked through it at the beginning. I gotta figure out how to manage screens because goodness, there's like 1,000 buttons. No, neither one of it. There we go. I noticed on the we'll do the sign in thing, and I'll just go back to this. This is kind of what we have. It's very basic, very clean. I did tell it don't use Tailwind because don't use Tailwind, don't use pink and purple, don't basically all the AI like, hey, like don't make it look like everyone else's AI site.
And you know what's funny? That my favorite color is purple. So every time I'm asking AI, it gives me my color and I'm using it, but at some point I say it is enough.
Yeah, you're like, this looks great. I love it. Like there's nothing wrong with this whatsoever. Keep everything. But the other thing that I wanted to show, if we can go find one of the things that we did, and I showed you this a little bit, is that like I just over-indexed on documentation. It was like, I want a data model. I want to see what this data model looks like. I don't think GitHub supports schema DBML, but like schema DBML like included on that. I want images of all the designs. I want speaker diagrams. So I want to know what the actual flow is of how this stuff works. And then now all of my prompts are very much like, you will follow all of these guys.
All of these guys, yeah,
like
yeah,
you will do all
yeah,
of this.
working by specifications. I just learned this morning. Well, I heard about it yesterday, but I started seeing it. Spec it, which is basic. Is something like this. So you create specs, and then you ask your LLM models to follow those specs. I haven't used it, but it's something that is on my list for the weekend.
I've seen the spec kit thing, and my only complaint with it is that it is so involved. Now, granted, I did spend almost like 3 hours just developing all of those different documents. So like I don't know what requires more. But yeah, spec kit is really cool. I know a lot of folks are doing like the Ralph Wiggum thing where it's like, I'm going to give you a bunch of rules, a bunch of things to follow, and then I'm going to go to sleep in 12 hours and like $200 later, like you're done. Don't know how I feel about that. That one's that's a little much.
You yes. So I have so with all the vibe coding and how the industry is moving, I believe that so the last trend is the Ralph looping, as you mentioned. Interesting seeing, and I hear from folks that have been using it, and they are getting good results. My concern here more is the cost. It's expensive. It is, and it's true. But probably people can say it is way cheaper than just hiring a developer.
No, it's not.
Yeah, but what about what I feel is that okay, what building fast doesn't mean that we're building things that are usable. I mean, building a lot of stuff, like having the opportunity, having the chance and opportunity to build just because of building, sounds nice, but then we are building tokens just for the sake. So if you have a real project, this is what I want to say. If you have a real project, something that you understand that it's going to be that people will use, spend on the tokens, play around, use it, but just for the sake of testing the capabilities of the AI, I think I see a lot of people going kind of far in that area.
I mean, even the prompt that I'm asking right now, the code that it generated, it gave me models, and the models look fine. They follow the design spec, but there are no IDs.
Yeah.
And what I've done in the past is I've had it like work directly with the database to create the schema, and then I backfilled the schema into Django, and I was like, that feels difficult to maintain. So just let Django manage developing the schema, but it didn't create IDs at all. And I was like, well, if I were doing it the way that I would normally do it, then I know that the IDs would be there. I know that they would be default. I know that they would always exist. And that's how we would do a lot of our indexing.
That's the importance of knowing what you're doing. And
yeah,
because if you were not a savvy in the database world, for you, it will be okay. And then you will probably, that problem will come. It will probably not, for sure. That problem is going to come later. Because if you don't have a way to index your tables, that means that your tables are going to be doing full queries all the time. And performance-wise, that's not what we want.
Yeah, I'm even looking at this currently where it's like, I wish it wouldn't have done that migration first, but hey, it's okay.
All right,
actually,
so we're using Django. With version, right? Django 6?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably 5, if I'm being honest. Let me see what we set this to.
You wanna hear something funny? So I never use Django in production, in like building anything, mostly building a quick tool or going into workshops. So what I did the last couple of days, since I knew that we had this conversation, I've been learning Django. And you want to hear something? I love it. Django is amazing.
Django is the best.
I knew Django was good, but I never tried. I like me coding and doing stuff. And since I've been playing around and creating models and creating applications and doing migrations, I'm kind of falling in love with Django. It's a good tool.
We hope to see you at DjangoCon US this year then.
Yeah, I've been looking to go for the last couple of years.
I think that we are using Django 6. AI was good on that. I thought I had told it to, but I couldn't remember if I did or not. I think the thing that's interesting about that though is that to me, Django feels like what AI was promised to be, which to me is like why Django is so good. I remember the first episode Jeff talked about like Django's been around for so long. Because of that, there's a lot of just data that it could train off of. And Django, with a couple of commands, gives you so much that when I hear it's too monolithic problem, like, no, like to me, AI and monoliths sound great. Like, hey, everything is in one place for you to manage. And honestly, you don't really have to do much of the management. All you have to do is like look at the stuff and then like we can go from there. To me, I started using Django more after the age of AI than before. Before I was using a lot of Fast API, I was using like Flask, and it was like, I don't know.
Same here, same here. I've been very before, right at the beginning, you know, with this battle between it was not Fast API, it was the one before Fast API, the one Flask. So I was very into Flask because it was very minimalist. It was small. I didn't have to think about many of the things that Django enforces you. But then when you look at Django, you realize that what Django enforces is basically best practices. It just from the get-go tells developers that are now very well known how things should be done. And for those that already know how things should be done, they can change and switch if they want, but they are not forced to think ahead of time about solutions. Like a small frameworks will force you to, because that's what they don't provide. That they just give you the flexibility to go with whatever you want. But I like the idea that Django, from the beginning, a developer that wants to learn how to do websites or web APIs with Django, they will find in Django everything they need.
Yeah. I think one of the things, and Aaron is throwing in there like Fast API fangirl. I definitely get that. Like no, I am a fan of Fast API. I think that it often depends on what I'm building. If I am building a straight up website and it's just website, everything being done through basic CRUD like tasks, I want to reach for Django because it's just easy to do. It's like, I'm just done. Half the time it's you give one prompt, you give a model, you tell it to migrate, and then it's done. And everything else is design. It's user experience. It's not necessarily like, I need to hotwire this thing to that thing over here. Fast API is great when I'm like, I have a couple of components and they need to exist like independently of each other.
Right.
And maybe there is a web component, maybe there's a strong API component, maybe there's like some like data thing happening behind the scenes. A good example of this, actually, I have a transcription app for my podcast, and it's great because there are command line things that need to hit the REST API. There's a website that I can go to kind of program, like just click on buttons and go to what I need to. And then there's like an MCP server that runs that I can like spin up and start asking questions to the project directly. And like, I'm sure that Django could do all of those things, but it just makes more sense in my head to split those out in MCP and say like, okay, sometimes I even split them out into separate Docker containers where it's like, I have this app over here, and then I have like the API model, and I have this other thing over here, and it's like 3 containers, and I run Docker Compose up, and they can all talk to each other, but they each have their own specific like needs, and those needs are isolated.
Right. So I'm following a similar pattern. So anywhere where I don't need, like, listen, not all your web projects needs to be back in the UI with a JavaScript framework. That's the thing. I usually at the beginning used to go Fast API plus React plus Vue, and then I was seeing myself in a situation when I was over architecting my projects. Like it was just it just needed a website that was to probably to inform and capture some user information, and I will see myself having a backend on Fast API and a front end with a one of these JavaScript framework. True, this JavaScript framework would allow me to bring some nice, animations and interaction because of the nature of JavaScript, but most of the times we don't need that. So I agree with you. If I'm building a project that is basically, crawl, backend, front end, capturing information, showing information, and it's all in the same module, I will just go straight with Django. If it is something that I don't need UI for most of the time. I just go for Fast API for the things in the MCP you mentioned. In most of the cases, the MCP has an API behind it. So yeah, Fast API becomes a very good tool for those type of things.
So I have it submitting the PR. I wanna throw it up here so we can take a peek at it. Oh, look, it's right there. There should be two. The core UI components, it's all CSS. I don't think that there's much that I can really do on that. A lot of basic stuff for like the template base engine. I'm gonna go ahead and just let's go ahead and merge that in. I don't know.
Yeah,
why
it'd be
I did
nice
that.
if you merge it. It'd be nice. I'm gonna pull it and run it locally. So let me know when it's ready, so I can also
Go ahead.
get involved.
And then the other one, this one was interesting because it really did feel like there was kind of like a conversation that needed to happen with this like proposals thing where we have like, hey, we have this whole migration thing. I'm not worried about the migration stuff. This admin thing, we obviously need to register all of these things in our users and stuff. But then I noticed that it just was not doing anything with IDs. And I was like, this still doesn't have the IDs. What are no IDs?
What is that editor? Can you tell me more about it? It looks nice.
I'm just using my terminal. I'm running NeoVim as my code editor, and then I'm using Zellige, which is like a tmux alternative to just have multiple windows open or multiple panes that I can. Basically, I have like a small little chat window up here that I can full screen when I need to. If I just do like Control PF, I can just full screen it and have it look at that. And then I just run the Django thing down here, and then I have like my main working window where I can just come in and see what's going on. I don't know. Here is a complaint. We talked about using Git work trees for this.
Yes.
One of the frustrations that I have with Git work trees is that GitHub doesn't treat it like a first-class citizen.
It doesn't. Yeah.
Like GitHub really wants you to just use like the traditional branch workflow.
Right.
So whenever I'm doing things, I'm just like, did I do something wrong? Is my work trees in a different place? Like what's going on here? See, it had to do Git work tree add. It had to just kind of add that to this new branch. So now I can go and like find the actual changes.
Right, and to see the commits. Yeah, but that becomes because you were going to be creating a lot of work trees. And the only way that you will be able to get all the changes at once is when you start merging pull requests into a branch that it's going to be your master branch. Yeah, I use Git work tree a lot because I'm usually switching between contexts, and for me it's easier just to keep things as they are and just create a new work tree so where I can continue working on. But I'm facing the things that you mentioned. I'm seeing those situations. So let's say I already added a change in one of my work tree, and I would like to bring it in the current work tree that I am, probably in the master work tree, in the main one. And I don't see, maybe skill issues, but I don't see an easy way for me to cherry pick.
Yeah.
Probably yes, you can cherry pick the commit from the other because it's still a branch, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I probably some skill issues.
I'm guessing it's also like skill issues on my end. I'm gonna go ahead and merge this two and see, and then I need to, because the thing that I'm missing right now is we told it to do all this stuff, and when I told it to do the migration and everything, it's not in the main branch, which has all the environment variable information. So it's like I don't know what you want me to do. So that's where I was like, wait a minute, I need to come over here and actually get everything pushed, at least so that I can come in, get pull. Let's get those changes. Oh, of course there are changes. Why are there changes written on local? Did I do that? Who did that? You know what?
Oh, no, I never do that.
I know, get stash.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know what I was doing. Let's just like remove all of that.
that was I used to do a lot of keys reset hard until one time that I lost 3 days of work and I say no more.
No.
I stash all I can. Yeah.
I need to do the migrate. Oh yeah, I gotta do UV run, manage, migrate.
So I see you're UV already. Do you adopt a UV as your main?
I did, and it took a while. It took me like a year of UV. Like I adopted UV like around PyCon US of last year. And a lot of that was like I've worked with a lot of projects where I've been like the primary maintainer, and there is always like a series of 10 to 15 issues that are just like help person set up developer environment. And I'm just like, I'm done with that. I don't want to ever do that again. Like a dev container maybe, but like UV just makes it so that it's like, all right, run this one command, run UV sync, and then like your virtual environment's created, all the like all the files that you need for your installation are done. Like everything is just done and ready to go. Like you don't have to think too hard about it. If I were now, it's more just you practice like you play, right? So now I'm doing everything in UV, but for a long time I was still doing like just manual virtual environment management and stuff. But yeah, UV is if like I don't know. UV is so convenient that it doesn't make sense not to use, but I also wish that it was just that convenient by default.
Yeah, I think that's you express it right. So UV is convenient, and the best part about UV that I find and people would find is that it's a drop-in replacement for anything else. Like they were so nice to keep the same type of commands that you would use, for example, with installing your dependencies. You don't need to think about a new command to install dependencies. UV is exactly the same that you will use with PEEP, for example. Creating your environments is basically the same. I mean, it's a similar approach. So by allowing users to keep the same commands that they have been used for long, I think that's one of the key benefits of UV, because that's the thing. I mean, change what you're using, and you might be wondering, why should I change something to do the same? It's because of all the extra functionality that UV brings to the conversation.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I forgot to mention, I'm also part of the been collaborating with Real Python for 4 or 5 years now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Are you is there I feel like there's some workshop that they've been doing.
Cohorts. They well, there's that's what it can, because recently there's been a few content related to UV. Just yesterday there was a new tutorial as to how to integrate UV into your life as a developer. And then we have been promoting UV as a tool for the last month, for some months now. Basically, we understand the VM is for virtual environment it does great and is already built in. That's why I understand that a lot of people's will be the default. But when you try UV, you will understand what I'm saying. I mean, it's just amazing all the things that you can do with that single tool.
I wanna see if we can get into the database because we're running into Why it's not python.env? Is that not what it is? I feel like that's it. Or do I just not have it installed? I don't have python.env. You're
You
right
have
there.
it. Yeah, you have it there.
I probably haven't done a
Activation,
sync.
A syncing, yeah.
UV add python.env. And then you're telling me that it's not. Am I thinking about this too hard? Because I could have sworn python.env was just. It's just .env. That's what it is. Well, again, this is actually one of the things that this is why I am a little net positive on like the AI thing. This happens to me all the time, and this also happens to me with other tools. A big one is front matter. There are two different Python like front matter modules. One is front matter and one is Python front matter.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very similar in how they work, but there are some very like distinct differences in how you call files. So I'm like, half the time I'm like, oh, the front matter didn't work. Let me go and make sure that I actually added the right front matter module. Nope, sure didn't. Let me go fix that. That is, so it's like those little mistakes that get added are always a pain. And I'm like, I don't know how to fix that.
Especially for those tools that they are very similar in functionality and even similar on the naming. I think in that case it's more a problem of the packages ecosystem. Because why creating two packages that do mostly the same?
Yeah, see, this is still calling into SQLite. That's why I was like, I'm pretty sure that this is not talking to our database.
Where is the database hosted?
It's on Aiven. It's the Aiven database that I sent you the invite to.
Yep. I got it. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and you just got to grab that, and you're supposedly supposed to put that in a .env file. Do I have a .env file? I have a .env file. I'm not going to share my screen on this because I think I've already leaked one key, but it was an old key. So this is like, it happens to me every time I stream where I'm like, oh, that's probably the thing. I know what a problem is, and it's all user error. I called it DB connection string. It's supposed to be PG connection string.
PG connections, right? Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Does it connect? Does it talk to the database now? Let's find out. Let's share. Survey says default DB. There we go. There's our database connection. That's what we like to see. So nice. Now if we run that, where's not DB shell? We need to run the migrate. UV run manage migrate.
Nice.
Looks like everything is there. Everything is building. And then if we switch over to, I wish give me a button that just lets me change quickly. I don't need to have to go. I'm going to bounce back and forth a lot. Let's update the schema map and hopefully we have content in it. We have content in it. There we go. So now, again, I think I was showing people at the beginning of like, even in our planning, what we planned for was a lot like this. what we get with Django is a lot more like this, which, you got a whole bunch of permissions and stuff that are popping up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't done my create super user yet. So I am going to do that now. But we have data, we have a model talking to our database. I'm going to, is it ubrun manage.py create super user? We were talking earlier about kind of the usage of Django for some of this stuff. I am still very much like, I understand that everything that is Django is Python, but it just feels like there's just so much magic happening. Like, I'm just constantly sitting there like, oh, I have to run this manage command, and this manage command just does so many things.
So many things. Yeah.
Okay, so I ran my super user command. I was like, there's no reason to show that because Lord knows I'll type my super user password or something in the wrong channel.
We don't want that.
The admin stuff isn't there. I feel like, oh no, that's going to be, let me get out of that and reopen open code. One of the reasons I do also like work trees is that, like, if you are doing AI things, putting everything in, like telling it to operate out of a work tree means that all of the changes that you've made for that like context is in that work tree.
Right.
So when you need to go do something else, like, it is like Jeff showed me that, like, it's just better to like empty out your context, start fresh. Often doing that in different work trees, like, it's just easier. It's easier to remember, like, oh, we're not making changes outside of the work tree context.
Exactly, and avoid something that people have heard from the beginning, that when that what you mentioned is starting a new chat. It's important every time that you are working with new features, especially on the AI. I mean, because of when the chat becomes too big, that's when the problems start happening. That the LLM start not understanding what you are requesting, or replying with things that are not entirely correct. So the bigger the chat, more chances to have wrong answers from the LLMs.
Yep. And also, I just realized the issue that I'm bumping into is when I created the super user, I stopped the server. Can't access what's not running.
Can you have in your IDE? Can you bump multiple terminals?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
can do multiple tabs.
We should have a conversation only for you to show me how to do that kind of setup.
I mean, we can definitely talk about terminal ricing and doing all that stuff. Mine is still very simple. I'm actually gonna stop that model from running because I'm pretty sure now we got hello.
There we go. Hello world.
There we go. We have an admin model. So, okay. That said, the hello world, how did the routes got replaced? Is that because, I know what happened. All of those changes that I almost reset hearted.
They're stashed. I'm glad that I stopped you from doing that.
Okay, so let's now hello world again.
There you go.
Does that normally happen? This is like updated upstream. So, it added. Oh, there's conflicts.
Yeah.
Well, oh boy, let's go fight conflicts. I'm actually surprised that I'm bumping into so many errors per se in this development, because it feels like it does feel a little bit more than usual, but it also feels like a lot of it is based on, hey, you're doing this thing, so now we need to like go in and fix this, and oh, but you also did this other thing up here. Oh, good lord, there are a lot of
There's a lot updated.
okay. That's gonna be fun. Let's start here. Actually, better idea. Let's close that.
Being towards yeah. Why
Like,
not?
go ahead, like you fix it, and then
Yeah.
I'll review what you did. Like
Yeah.
that's
You did the mess. Let me.
yeah. I think that there is kind of this world that is, we talk about developers and developers having to do more management of their models, and that's what coding is going to look like.
Mhm.
While I'm not yet ready to say that I don't want to write code ever again, I think that, especially for a lot of developers, the code review versus the code like creation are two different parts of the brain.
Yeah.
And one of the things that winds up becoming a challenge is figuring out, okay, it's going to be more valuable for me to be a code reviewer. Honestly, in the long term of your career, it's more valuable for your ability to review code, challenge code, and say, hey, like, you know, this code that my junior developer called Open Code wrote, you know, it's lacking in these areas. Especially when you start looking at like, I'm not a developer. I'm not a designer. So when we talk about like color choices and things like that, my answer is going to be, what did the documentation say?
Right.
Is it sticking with the documentation? If yes, then we're good. If not, then we got some work to do.
Yeah.
But
It's all far back again to the requirements. So having a clear set of requirements that you can pinpoint the LLMs to, because of if you didn't have the requirements, the documentation of what you were building, you wouldn't be able to tell open code to go and fix the conflict based on the requirements. That's why
yeah,
requirements are important. And on the matter that on the thing that you mentioned about learning and reviewing, I collaborate with there is this institute. It's a community based institute in Dominican Republic, and what I tell to some of the students there, they ask me, should I use AI for learn? If I'm learning, I say, yes, you should, but use it in the learning mode. For me, learning mode is you ask it to do something. When whatever it comes back, you gotta try to understand what is happening on the things that are coming back. And if you don't understand, you just go to the line. You say, "Explain me this, because I don't understand why you're using this." And the models is gonna try to come with us with information about why was that a good approach for that to fix that issue. Let's say decorators. You're working with Python. You see there's a method, there's a function, and on top of the function, there's this thing. That it's adding functionality, but you don't know what. You don't know why it exists. So you don't know the name, but you can ask, what is this? And you say, oh, this is a Python decorator. And most of the time it will come with a full tutorial of decorators are this. And even there's situations when it will provide with links so that you can uh, continue your learning on the topic if you want. So that for me is what I call using AI on learning mode. Basically, understanding the things that are coming back, and when you don't understand, asking the model, "What is this?" and to provide you with more information, so that in the future, when you see it in another code generation, you will know what it is.
Yeah. I think the challenge that a lot of folks are going to have, I'm just thinking about this from, like, I was in school when Wikipedia came out, and we talk about like AI and being like the Wikipedia thing and how fundamentally different it was. Like, I'm not here to say that you should use Wikipedia as your source. But one thing Wikipedia is really good at is giving you sources, and you could use those sources. So like there's definitely a world where I'm like, okay, if I'm going to use this thing, I want to know, how do I use it in a way that's going to be beneficial to me and not just blindly rely. Like, if I were writing a paper and I just copied Wikipedia, then the paper would feel flat. But if I looked at Wikipedia, looked at the sources, read those sources, grabbed my own insights from those sources, and then wrote my own thing, then I still used Wikipedia, but I did it in a way that was dynamic and that a way that was super helpful. It does introduce some bias because you're only limiting some of your like ideas from one particular location. But if people are going to use AI, I would much rather them say, like, I know what, the Ralph Wiggum model is. I know the pros and cons of doing that. I know the difference between, using something like open code versus directly just like typing into ChatGPT or whatever and saying, how do I do this, or vibe coding, or going into Devin and saying, like, Devin build this thing, or Cursor build this thing, or Warp build this thing. Like, have the ability to do both. The way that I do it, me prompting, me opening up a code assistant and saying, I want you to do this, hopefully gives me a little bit more control into how I'm directing it to build, versus build site that is blah, and then we're done. That's and I would definitely want students to be able to think about what they're building and how they're building it, versus just like, I typed in prompt and I got code.
Right. Yeah, understanding. Yeah, that is basic. I use exactly the same approach. So every prompts that I make usually have part of the, so I try to be specific on things, because the things that I already know is like, I'm fixing a bug. I not just go, oh, there's a bug, fix it. I go like, there is a bug. I believe it is in this area, and it happened when this and this. Also, take all mostly technical context that would allow the LLM to narrow the problem, instead of just fixing something that the LLM will need to scan the whole project, um, and sometimes it's not as efficient. So it's all about the context. Basically, it's all about the context. It's all about the information that you pass. You pass garbage, it will do the best with the things that you pass. You pass valuable information, it will do a better job.
This is actually another interesting thought. I've seen this model before where we were talking about this before. We have right now we have SQLite as kind of the local testing platform, and we have Postgres on up in the cloud for like a quote unquote production.
Mm-hmm.
Something I think we should actually do, and I'm gonna get an issue created for that, is you should have a local database. I know that a part of what we're doing is like we're working in a kind of a distributed manner between the two of us, but there should be a local database of things happening, because otherwise we're just like, I don't want to say that we're, what's the word? I don't want to say that we're like, your databases should match. So like I should have like a Postgres database up and running locally, and then like I should have my production database. Obviously, we could just have like our development database up in the cloud, which is perfectly fine too. the challenge that I'm working with like this Git, the work tree model is because it creates a new folder. The environment variables don't exist, so you have to copy the environment variables over every time. I've seen things like the distributed work system where you're using like everything's in a Docker container. That way, you always get your credentials and things like that. I've seen tools like Doppler. I don't know if you've heard of Doppler, but that's
Yes.
like a like that's kind of an interesting way of doing it. When I think about my blind spots, one of my biggest blind spots is I don't spend a lot of time developing with other developers. So I wind up lacking in some of the knowledge and like, okay, hey, if I have a dev database, a prod database, and kind of those other areas, like I know what that looks like and I know like how to set environment variables, but what is considered the best practice for a team of engineers? Do they each have their own local instance of a developer database that they're testing against that follows the same schema? Do they have one test database, which my thought would be you have your local database. When you submit a PR, it tests against a shared test database. And then you have prod, which is like a whole different system that is connecting to that prod database. That's what I would expect, but I don't have necessarily a lot of the experience of working in that way,
Right.
especially with like modern tool stacks.
Right. I can tell you, we use a local database. We use a Dockerized local database for local development that allow us, as you said, we can drop the database anytime we want and start from zero if we need. We can import information because it's running there in your computer. And then, so we don't need to deal with like environment variables that needs to be posted, not for the database at least. We use environment for other stuff, especially when we are integrating our service with other services, and we need to have those service configuration in a place, and we use the environment for that. But for the day-to-day work, something else is that usually each developer is gonna be working on its own personal branch. So this is unique. Like right now, we are looking at these things at the same time. But the way it will work is that we will split with modern tools. Let's say we will split the functionality. We know the things that we want to build. So you take half of it, I take half. And but at least the initial part has to be done before we split it. What is the initial part? The initial part means setting up the project, setting up the the database, setting up the models, and from there, then each one can start building on top of the things that they need.
I've run into this a few times where like I always say that this is like bad just development practice on my end, where if I'm building a new demo or a new project, like I will just code on main until I get to like a certain point. And then it's like, all right, we're far enough now where PRs are necessary. Now let's do that. Because you're right. You're like, there is a lot of like, I could submit one PR, which is like,
and that's it. Yeah,
draw the whole owl.
Right.
They say like draw a circle, then draw the rest of the bird.
Right.
I feel like that's what happens when I start doing PRs like too early. It's like, all right, here's 5 commits that are just doing the whole thing. But then eventually, like you do get to a point where you're like, all right, PRs are good. Like we need to be doing PR thing. Like why is it copying over the existing SQLite database? That's fine.
Yeah, I love PRs, and I tell people that even for solo developers, PRs for me the two most important things is it organize your changes, even though you're solo, and you have some sort of documentation of those changes. Because if you do a commit, usually commit messages are short. So there might be the commit message might not give you everything you need about what the thing that you are merging in, and that's one thing. So documentation, And the second thing is that PRs give me the last chance to review my changes before merging in. So I do a pull request review of my changes before I attach people to come and do the review,
Yeah.
because of the browser is bigger, so you have more space to view all the change. Otherwise, you're looking at this div in the terminal, and like sometimes they make sense to you when they're little, but when you span the whole file, say, "Oh no, I was not supposed to commit this."
See, I kind of like reviewing PRs in the terminal because like the easiest way to do it is to check out the branch and then just
Right.
look at it.
Yeah,
And
for
again,
me,
if you're using like a full environment, you can just be like, well, I'm gonna run it, see if it works.
yeah.
I'm gonna look at the code changes. Like you said, I'm gonna use I'm not gonna use I am gonna use like git diff, but my git diff I have set up to use a tool called Delta,
Mm-hmm.
which gives me like a side by side, kind of like of what I see in GitHub.
Right.
And the only thing I can't do is like comment on particular like lines of code, and that's kind of the part that I'm still trying to figure out. But other than that, like coming in here and being like, okay, I have this thing, I tried to run it, I'm looking at it, I'm looking at the the diff or whatever, this all makes sense. Like that to me feels better than doing it just in the browser, especially because sometimes the browser like it gives you so much stuff to look at, it can be overwhelming.
Right. Yeah, depending on the tool, that's true. But yeah, sometimes I want to see the whole picture. Because the small change, the 1, 2, 3 lines of code, like the diff that you show right now, that could make sense like individually, but when you look the overall file, it's like, for example, that change was added as in so part of the file, but imagine that the developer decided to create a new variable at the end of the file when we have for conventions that like global variables are going to be on top. Like with the div, sometimes you might skip that because you're seeing one little part and one little part. You might be seeing even the line numbers. But yeah, I feel like you're just looking at the whole file, which supposedly is not supposed to be too big in theory, right? Big files, you're going to split in separate files. But looking at the whole file, I can see how your change interact with the rest of the code that was there before. That's why I like it. Of course, I'm gonna pull your pull request and I'm gonna build and run your pull request as well. Because something I like, GitHub added this functionality in their CLI. So basically, GitHub GH pull request, pull, and you pass the number of the pull request, and then it will check out the branch of the pull request in your local environment. For me, that's amazing, because before you needed to run into hoop, especially when you were working in different forks. If the pull request was in a branch that was in a different fork, it was hard for you to get that branch. But now with the GitHub CLI, it's just great.
So I think there is another PR that I just added. Yep. It's the speaker dashboard implementation. Let's see, proposal list view. I kind of want to see this because I'm really hoping that I learned about this module called Neapolitan, and it's made by Carlton. Do you know Carlton Gibson?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Carlton made this. That was me. That was my fault. I'm trying to switch screens for the umpteenth time. Carlton made this Neapolitan thing, and it's meant to be like basic CRUD options, like baked in. And I'm trying to see this used, and I just haven't yet.
Request right now, yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing like proposal list view. I'm seeing like the default CRUD things, but I'm not seeing the Neapolitan views, and that's one of the things that I've been really wanting to dive in more into. Of like, how does Postgres specifically? Um, let me see. Let me talk to this. How is this PR using Neapolitan? The thing that I have fought a lot with in the Postgres with Django development, like when I'm thinking about both, because I'm spending a lot of time in the Django community, I'm spending a lot of time in the Postgres community. When I go to a Postgres event, like if I show them a bunch of like Django ORM, their eyes glaze over. But if I show like the Django community and I show them a lot of like just raw SQL, their eyes glaze over. So
Yeah.
it's a matter of like, okay, when I'm using these modern tools inside of these systems, what does that translate to on the Django side? What does that look like? On the Postgres side, what does that look like? So that I can speak to both of those things.
Right.
I love how the PR. So I asked, how is this PR using Neapolitan? It says this PR is not currently using Neapolitan. I implemented the proposal list view using Django's standard list generic view. While the system design suggests using it, I opted for a standard list view to have granular control over presentations.
Yeah, because he wanted.
This is where like. This is where people will learn. I am not the friendliest person to AI. Like,
right.
Because I'm like, my instructions
just because, right,
to stick to the implementation plan.
Oh gosh. And you saw it live. Whoever is live is seeing the things that are happening.
Yeah, like this is me. I'm not putting it on the screen because I want people to assume that I just put please and thank you everywhere. But I have absolutely said before, like, why did you make it look so ugly? It's just like, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean for it to.
This is funny.
Like, there was a reason I wanted to use Neapolitan, because having all of these, we basically have 3 different CRUD managements that we have to think about. We have all of the like list, edit, delete. We have for our proposals, for our reviews, for comments, all of those things. So I'm really just laughing at the fact that it's like, oh yeah, I know you said to do this,
but I decided not to.
I didn't. Oh, that's hilarious. I'm trying to see if we can get a couple of changes in before we hit time. I wanted to talk with you about how much Postgres are you using these days?
A lot.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot. I am beginning. So for the last 2-3 years, I've been using Postgres heavily. I follow your blogs and your entries about Postgres because they have helped me, learn new areas. Because I started as you said. Usually developers, we see the database, we know it exists, but we never touch it. It's like we use ORMs, and ORMs are gonna translate our technical requirements into whatever it is on the back. But 2 years ago, I decided to change that. I decided to know more about the database because we were having some problems with the performance. And the way to fix it, you mentioned indexes. The way to fix it is understanding how databases work, and how you can, from the developer side. I don't mean to be an database admin, but I mean is from your understanding how you can structure your models in a way that you can get the best out of the database engine that you have running on your back. So that's when I started looking into books for Postgre and reading more about Postgre, and and practicing and doing stuff. Yeah, a lot. To answer the questions, yeah, I'm iterating with the actual database a lot because back in the days, before ORMs became the norm, we developers needed to create that abstraction of models and queries. So I was good at the database layer, at creating queries that were performant, and combining information in different areas, joins, and making sure that the information that you're fetching matches what you really want. But I lost that because of the ORMs. I lost that and because using so much ORMs, at some point I not even remember how to do a left outer join or right outer join. So I had to go through learning again.
My ability to query is still terrible. Like that is the thing that I struggle with the most. Is the second I have to do something inner join, like I'm like, all right, we're gonna be here for a minute. Cross joins, I just have no clue what's going on.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that maybe modern Postgres development has gotten you excited about?
So in the process of learning Postgres, I learned that Postgres is way more than just a database. Like if you come from other type of databases, I'm not gonna mention names to avoid comparison. But if you come from any other database, you're used that your database is just that. It's a place where you put information and that's it. Postgres, it's like for example, something I read and I gave it a try and it's so amazing. So GraphQL. You
Mhm.
know that GraphQL, this query abstraction that you put on top of your data, and users can query in quotes your data. There's some schema definition that you define and all that set. Usually you would need a language. You would need a fast API. You would need a Django server on top of your database, fetching the information and exposing that to the end users. You can have that right built in Postgres. You don't
Yeah.
need Django. You don't need fast API. You just expose, install an application on the Postgres, and it will do that for you. For me, that's amazing.
Yeah.
For me, that's amazing. That's one of my favorite. Postgres was one of the very first to adopt the JSON column. Basically, you are in a relational database. So we have a JSON object databases, MongoDB style, but we also have relational database tables. Postgres is one of those, but Postgres allows you to be something in the middle. Let's say that you want there's some part of your information that is not a structure, and you want to put it into a JSON column. They allow you to have a column that is just be JSON for binary, and then you just put the information there. It doesn't have to follow any structure, so you pull that information as a JSON, and you just fetch it to your application. For me, also, that's one of my favorite features.
I have been fighting with JSON. Also, shout out, I will be giving a talk about JSON tables
Oh yeah.
in 2 weeks.
What is
For
that?
the San Francisco Python user group. It'll be a virtual talk, but JSON tables were meant to be this way that you could take JSON data and map it to relational data as like a temporary table.
Mhm.
My talk is very much the stuff of comedy, because this isn't meant to replace using JSON in Postgres. It was actually created for different reasons that I get to in my talk. So go check that out.
I want to
It's
check it out. Yeah.
the San Francisco Postgres user group. I don't know. Let's see, SF Pug. I'm sure if I just type in SF Pug, I will get a bunch of stuff about dogs. Yes, SF Postgres user group.
Let me
Yes,
open
I don't
that.
know if the event is created yet. Oh yeah, there it is. The 5 levels of using JSON tables. I will add that to the chat for those that want to That's just a bunch of code. That's a bunch of like, I don't know what that is. That's not a link to a website.
Yep, I found it. I found it. I'll be there.
I'm trying to copy the URL, but every time I tried to copy it, I would paste, and it would paste like this long curl statement that I'm like, where did this come from? But yeah, like I have fought with the idea of JSON in your Postgres for some time. And the reason being is I talked about this whole like Mirais thing. I was yelling about IDs, like normalized data and Postgres and like JSON are not like, they're not completely diametrically opposed.
Yeah.
But it sometimes it really like confuses me in why you would have a bunch of like unstructured JSON alongside of structured like Postgres data or
I can tell.
normalized Postgres data.
I can tell you because I ran into this same discussion when so at work there was a project that we needed to have. So it's structured. So we have different tables for different things, but there's one field. It's not even a table. It's one field in the table that needed to be on a structure. So it was a structure, but on a structure at the same time. Like we were getting a list of information that will also have more information inside. But we will never sure what the list could be. So the solution to that was gonna be creating like 5 separate tables and creating joins to that field. Or yeah, that would be, yeah. So every time you save the row, you will need to go also and save in those other tables to maintain relation. We didn't need to go that way because there is certain information in your projects that they don't need an extra table. So before JSON, what you have was a text and you will put everything there. But at least with the JSON, you can create an object. You make sure that it is an object, and then you convert that object into a JSON right before you saving. That gives you the flexibility that whenever you're reading that field back, it should match the object that created at the first time. And that, so we that's how we use, and I am using it in a couple of places in that specific project, and it saves us from creating like 5-6 small tables just to save the relations with those other objects. And not only the tables and the relations, but also maintaining those tables, because there's, for example, if you want to save the city, the address in Latin usually goes, and I go, it's probably the same in the US, but in the Latin you have address, second address, you have the city, the municipio, I don't know how to say that in English.
Like the
municipality, and then there's like a 3 other more part of the whole address. You can save the whole address at one, or you can just create. What I do is just create a JSON object and I save that, because I don't care about the municipality in one specific or one specific city, because otherwise I would need to have a relational tables for all the different combinations that can exist between country, city, and municipality, and all the stuff, just so that I can add the IDs. And I don't want that. I just create the JSON object with what represents your address, and I save it in that JSON field as your address. Whenever I need your address, I pull out. Some of them are optional. That's because it's a JSON. Some of them will be empty, and it's okay. The ones that are not empty are the ones that you're gonna be populating into your object at the end.
That it makes sense, but I'm also like, you don't care about all of that data yet. but there's always like the reality that like as scope continues to increase and things expand beyond just a like, oh, I'm going to do this one thing, it feels like if you just normalize the data at the beginning, it would be so much easier to work with down the road. And like I get like if you're dealing with log data, like I'm working on like a post where like I have a home lab that has like 20 something like images or containers,
Mhm.
and I have consolidated logging. There's no way that I could normalize logs from several different systems. So keeping that stuff in like a JSON format that's like, hey, here's a timestamp of when the log came in, here's all this other stuff, and then here's the log message. Like that just makes it easier. But I've seen people that are like, oh, let me just store all this data in JSON and then I'll query the JSON directly and I'll just use like JSON B and just like
Mhm.
they're doing like app level stuff and then they're having to write app layer code to parse out the data, and it's just like if you did that at the beginning and just normalized Postgres, you wouldn't have to write this extra code.
Yeah, I agree. The thing is that sometimes the decision for normalizing requires extra, well, probably with the era of LLMs, you can come with a solution quicker. But the answer to normalizing data requires more information than what you have in hands. So for me, the easiest way, oh gosh, is just use the JSON column, and if you ever need to normalize it, you can do that still, because I'm saying theoretically, nobody's inserting that column directly from insert. The information coming into that table and that specific column is coming from the application. So that means that at all times, the application will be able or should be able to fetch the information in the column. And if you need to normalize, you just run a script basically. You just
Mhm.
you just extract the information. You separate the parts that you want to normalize. Well, you alter your tables, add in the columns that you want to make available. Get that information and construct your the extra fields information from that specific column, and then you save it. I haven't needed to do it, and I mean that project was like 2 3 years ago, so I'm still good. I mean, the decision of using the JSON and now wasting time in normalizing something that we don't know how to is still good. Let's hope for the best. Let's stay like that. But if we need to change it, there's a plan already. Because these 2 3 years gave me the opportunity to come with a plan and the documentation that if we ever need to normalize that information that is in those fields, um, we can safely do it without a lot of problems.
Interesting. This is interesting. Also, what's very interesting is for some reason, uh, AI updated my
The pull
.env
request.
file that it wasn't supposed to. So I was like, wait, why is this not working? And it was like, you can't connect to the database. I was like, of course you can't connect to the database. Like, what are you doing?
You mentioned earlier about the local database, and last night I was setting up my local database because I thought that we were going to be using the local one. I have this mini PC somewhere connected in the, well, actually here. There's my router is out here, and I got it connected right to the router. And that mini PC, I was setting up Docker and setting up Postgres and making sure that it's available from the network and making sure that I have my tables and my database and my schema. Um, but yeah, I agree on that thing. It's easier just to keep your local database for development, and you avoid this situation of using an external one.
Mm. I don't know. I feel like there's I would, I mean, I'm telling everybody, of course, all the bias in the world. I'm an Aiven employee. I'm going to talk to you about Aiven things, but like, I do think that there being the like very, very local, semi-local for testing, like your staging server or whatever, or your staging instance, and then having your production, to me it makes sense because it allows you to, like, you can blow away your local setup and just rebuild it. Something's
Right.
not working, or you tried a different data model, you blow it away. Aiven has this idea of like forking your database. I think that works, but I think also if you have like a development team of like 100 people and everyone has their own like local
Three
database up
environments.
in the cloud,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
that
yeah,
just, that just gets expensive. Like
right.
that's please, if you want to, if you're going to Aiven, do that and use my promo code to let you know for all of those. But the reality is I think that there would be, it's nice for there to be like a way for us to develop locally and then take that into a staging server and then take that to a production server. One of the things that I have asked about that I am kind of going into like a new role or like a new responsibility of
Oh,
things.
oh, it's
Uh,
nice. Tell me
yeah,
more.
I'm working on some things. Folks, let me know what you would like to see in the Aiven console. Let me know when it comes to Postgres some of the things that you would love to see implemented, and maybe we can sit down and I can show you what we have planned and see if that works with where you're going. But I'm going to be responsible for uh, a lot of that, and kind of the
Congrats.
mindset that I'm having with that is, one of the things I've wanted to add is, we love open source so much. Can we just give you a Docker file that is like, here's our database. This is how we do database things. Clearly, you're not paying us necessarily for a container. You're paying us for like the service. You're paying for so many other things. I would love to just let people have like Docker, like Docker pull from Aiven Postgres, and then you get all the extensions, you get all the setup. It's almost as if you were running your production level database locally, and then having some way to connect those two things of like,
What about the containers?
I think you can. I just don't. I don't know what I don't know right now, so I'm still trying to figure that out. But once I do learn a little bit more, I'm really interested in making the developer experience from local developer iterating, doing database things, moving that into a staging area, and then finally moving that into production.
Nice.
That's kind of one of the goals that I have for this upcoming year, and making that a solid experience for developers around the board, among other things that so many amazing engineers that I get to work with on a daily basis are going to be working on. But we're at time. I want to hope that we got further than I think we did, but I'm
It's
not
it,
sure.
it's I think we got further. It's just that it's split it in different places. Hello
It,
world, is that what
it,
we did?
it keeps bouncing back to this hello world, and I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. My admin is there,
Yeah.
the models are there. We haven't created anything yet though, and I'm just like, I don't. I'm hoping that maybe it's just some URLs haven't been updated, but yeah, see, there are some patterns in that, or there is like a proposals pattern. So let me take a quick peek at the URL, at the URL list.
How do you do to when you share in your browser, you don't share the URL?
Oh, I'm just sharing the tab.
Ah, all right.
Oh, it's apparently AI decided to call it my dash proposals. What? I don't understand.
Yeah. What model are you using, by the way?
I am using Gemini 3,
Right.
3 Pro Preview.
I like
Is
Gemini.
that not is that not correct? Did I do that wrong? Do I have to put the HTML? I don't think I have to put the HTML in the end. No. Well, we went backwards. I don't know how we went backwards, but we went backwards. This is. I don't think the the app development side of it is secondary. What's really good is the conversation that we had along the way, and we did have a great conversation. This has been fun. This has been awesome. I feel bad because Abigail was running into some issues, but that means you get to tell everybody how they can connect with you, and you get all the good shout out stuff. So thank you so much for coming and being a guest. We are past time now, so I want to wrap it up, but maybe we can schedule
the
a
project
time.
will continue. Yeah. Let's schedule something probably 2 weeks ahead, and so that we can continue working on the project offline, and then we come with more finished project that we can show to the people that were here and new people that are gonna see this video recorder. This is a nice project. I hope that at some point we're gonna make it available for you to use it. And yeah, invite me. Let's continue the conversation. Yeah, it was very interesting.
Absolutely. And that is going to wrap it up here. If you want to connect with us, I think we'll definitely show you an end result at the end of season 1. We're actually approaching the end of season 1. We've got a few more episodes planned. We're going to wrap it up, and then I actually jump into massive conference season. But I think we'll probably do a roundup of like what happened with insert project here, and what did we learn? Because I really want to dive deeper into the CRUD, especially using something like Neapolitan with Neapolitan models and things like that, and how those translate into Postgres. Because I think it's going to be different than just kind of the default. But knowing Carlton, who the developer is, maybe I can bug Carlton to come on to the show, and like we'll interview him for like a good 30 minutes so that he can pick our brain. We can pick his brain and learn
Nice.
what that's all about.
That'd be nice.
But yeah, let's schedule a time. We'll jump into another live stream, and we'll have a little bit more done. But this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for being my guest, everyone. My guest was Andres Pineda, my friend. By the way, I like the shirt. we don't talk about Black Python devs all that much on the channel, but yeah, shout out to the shirt. I love it. Yeah. Y'all, thank you so much, and until next time, have a great day.
Thank you.